The headband is out here for Sasser. Ingram on your right, Sasser on your left. It's Teamer Delver versus Jeskai Mentor. Both these players off to a 4-0 start here in Syracuse. Ingram's going to start things off by sacrificing a polluted Delta. He'll fall down to 19, get himself a volcanic island. And we'll see what he wants to lead game number one off with. Could be a cantrip, could be a Delver of Secrets, and it looks like it's going to be the 1-1 that could transform into a 3-2 flyer. Back over to Drake Sasser we go for his first turn of round number 5. He's going to kick things off with a Prismatic Vista and simply pass the turn back over to Peter Ingram, who's going to reveal Force of Will to the Delvers. So now Insectile Aberration has joined the fray. The 3-2 flyer, a staple in Legacy for some time now. We're almost towards a decade that this card's been the real deal since it showed up in Innistrad.
Yep, forms the foundation of a lot of the Daze and Wasteland style aggressive decks.
It's a Wasteland and a copy of Dreadhorde Arcanist. Is it Arcanist or Arcanist?
It's an Arcanist.
Arcanist? Is Arcanist not a word? Probably not.
Maybe. I'm
actually not trolling. I just want to make sure I say it right.
I'm thinking about it. I think it's just Arcanist.
All right. Well, Force of Will, that one's easy to say. Exiling Jace the Mind Sculptor is going to go after the Dreadhorde, and Peter is going to lose his little red creature. Sasser's going to sacrifice a Scalding Tarn, get himself a snow-covered island, and now he'll play a Ponder. I do really enjoy that snow-covered and snow as a thing has made its way into a couple different formats now. I like it.
Well, I think it's going to be really a feature of the format for a long time, in part because there's always been no opportunity cost to playing with snow cards. There's nothing that really punishes you. But before, there really wasn't anything you could even be bluffing. There weren't cards good enough. Now, the snow stuff, there's a chain to the rocks and a sweeper. There's actual real value in maybe bluffing for a turn or two of having those snow cards in your deck. So
On Thin Ice or Dead of Winter.
Yep.
Both options for players. Looks like Sasser's turn may be over. They want to make sure they've got the life totals right here. Drake, I believe, should be down to 15.
Force, fetch, and 1 Insectile Aberration hit.
You still got it. Hit for 3 once again. Going to fall down to 12. Will Sasser. Remember, Drake Sasser does have a Legacy Open win in Worcester last year. That's where his name really started to show up, and that's where he certainly made a name for himself, winning that with Grixis Delver, beating Ben Feingersh in the finals, who was on Combo Elves at the time. Peter now going to play a Ponder. He'll keep it. He'll draw a card. Missing a green source of mana no longer as he sacrifices a polluted Delta. He'll fall down to 18. 2 fetches this game for Ingram, and there's a Tropical Island. And now there's a Tarmogoyf. We'll be heading back over to Drake here in just a moment. Drake will draw. It's his 3rd turn of the game. A member of Team Nova. A couple different options in hand, staring down a 3-4 Tarmogoyf and a 3-2 Insectile Aberration. Let's actually make it a 4-5 because there is an instant in the graveyard and Force of Will. Scalding Tarn is the land. And Drake is going to sacrifice both of his fetches. Unlike the Days of Miracles, Sasser's deck doesn't really have a clean way, I don't think, to clean up all the permanents like a Terminus.
There is nothing of the sort. I mean, there's, a lot of one main deck copy of Supreme Verdict.
Okay.
Otherwise, a lot of 1-for-1 removal and Snapcaster Mage and such, but not a lot in the way of sweepers.
This is a Snapcaster Mage.
Pretty clunky draw here so far from Sasser.
Yeah, hasn't really done very much. Ingram still got that Force of Will in hand. He's elected not to use it just yet. Now the Snapcaster Mage is going to help recast a Ponder. So Sasser will take a look at 3 cards. And he's going to keep those. Looks like he found another copy of Monastery Mentor. Does have a Force Negation in hand, does Drake. And we're going to head back over to Ingram. Ingram will draw. Pretty easy stuff here as he'll serve him with both of his creatures. Tarmogoyf will get blocked immediately by the Snapcaster Mage. Sasser's going to fall down to 7, I believe. And Ingram will very quickly pass the turn back. So a very simplistic 4th turn there for Peter as we head back over to Drake.
Yep, got on the battlefield early. Probably holding up a wall of counter spells. And Sasser running out of time.
Well, might be time to go towards Monastery Mentor now, perhaps. But I think you said it pretty well there, partner. He is starting to run out of time. A lethal attack next turn here from Ingram with, we already know, at least 1 counterspell in hand. It means that Drake Sasser does not have time on his side right now. He'll sacrifice the Prismatic Vista. And this time he'll get a snow-covered mountain. Again, does not want to play in a wasteland.
2 copies of Magmatic Sinkhole in the main deck here.
Not hard for this deck to fill up its graveyard, that's for sure. There's the Mentor. Is this where Peter actually finally makes a move?
It's got a lethal attack rolled up, and Monastery Mentor potentially represents a lot of blockers on the ground, so I think if Ingram can pick a fight here, he will.
There's Force of Will, exiling Spell Snare. Peter will, of course, lose 1 to do that, so he falls down to 17. And Drake will pass the turn back, so Peter is going to untap. We're going to see him try to attack for a lethal here in just a moment, I'm sure. Not sure if he's got any upkeep effects or not.
Might want a Sinkhole here in the upkeep if he's got to cut Ingram off of a draw step.
Well, there is Magmatic Sinkhole. Sasser's going to delve away a handful of cards. And this one deals 5. It's a Daze. And a Daze is going to be more than enough. As Peter Ingram's going to win game number 1 here over Drake Sasser. Teamer Delver pretty easily wins game number 1 over Jeskai Mentor.
Pretty clunky hand there from Sasser. Even pitched to Jace the Mind Sculptor early on to that Force of Will. Had nothing cheap. And Ingram able to deploy threats the first couple turns on the battlefield, and then enough disruption to keep Sasser from coming back.
Well, if you're Teamer Delver, that's how you draw it up. Not exactly what Jeskai Mentor is looking to do in game number 1, but I'm sure things change after sideboard, and we'll take a look. 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Palace Jailer, 2 Hydroblast. 7 one-ofs here for Drake in Wear Terror Surgical Extraction. Supreme Vert, we already talked about there being 1 in the main. There's an additional on the sideboard. A Council's Judgment, a Containment Priest, a Celestial Purge, and a Back to Basics.
So I like the blasts here. They're cheap, and they play back against a lot of different stuff. From there, there's a lot of good options here in the sideboard, but most of them are pretty expensive. And I'm not sure if Sasser's going to want all of it, but the Back to Basics, Council's Judgment, and Supreme Vert here are all potentially very good. I also think Sasser's going to bring in the 2 copies of Rest in Peace, probably pretty standard against any deck with Tarmogoyf.
Other side of things here for Peter Ingram. He's got 2 Surgical Extractions, 2 Submerge, and he's got a whole lot of one-ofs. So buckle up. A Red Elemental Blast, a Pyroblast, a Magmatic Sinkhole of his own along with the Caracas, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Hydroblast, Force Negation, a Braid, and an Ancient Grudge.
I think you'll see the 1 copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor come in along with the Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast, potentially Force of Negation as well.
Well, those are the options there for both players. We are going to go through our Season 2 schedule here on the SCG Tour. We kick things off in Season 2 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was the team of Dominic Harvey, Jeremy Bertarioni, and young Jonathan Hobbs, that Team Modern Open. They got the job done there. When we went to Worcester in the early stages of July, it was Aaron Barrich winning the Core Set 2020 release weekend, putting Aaron very close to the top of the SCG Tour leaderboard, actually on top of it for a handful of weeks. In Philadelphia, for our Team Constructed Open, it was Corey Baumeister, Shaheen Sarani, and Peter Ingram getting the job done there before Dominic Harvey got his 3rd Open win of the year at SCG Columbus, July 27th and the 28th. We then went to Richmond for the team of Miller, Miles, and Lou winning that Team Constructed Open. And then Dallas, our last Open, you and I were both there, alongside Ryan Overturf and Todd Anderson. Harlan Fear winning that one. We'll crown a legacy champion here in Syracuse. And then your favorite city.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
October is packed with Philadelphia, Indianapolis, and the regional championship. You can go over to go.scgames.com/regionals for more information as we get a little bit closer to the event. Then to round out the month of October, a Modern Open in Atlanta, October 26th and the 27th. One event in November and December, and they are big ones. SCGNY Winter featuring the Sasser Games Invitational, November 14th through the 17th. And then to close out the year, the Players Championship, December 13th through 15th.
And I can tell you all at home who are watching, those Players Championship details are being hammered away right now. Might have a little something for you, I believe, next week. So keep your eyes peeled on StarCityGames.com for that. Now let's take a look at some playmats very quickly here. We got Captain's Quarters illustrated by Titus Lunter for all of our standard open and classic players. For our modern players, it's going to be Aurora's Light illustrated by the incredibly talented John Avon. And last but certainly not least, for our legacy opening and classic players, like the over 500 that have joined us this weekend, Ripped from Reality illustrated by Mark Teeden. Again, these playmats are free and exclusive playmats with entry into any Open, Classic, Infinite Challenge, or Sealed Spectacular package. Go.starcitygames.com/schedule for more information. Hopefully we'll see you all throughout the month of October and beyond. And you mentioned it, October is jam-packed.
3 Opens along with the regional championship. It's a lot of magic.
Plenty of magic to be had.
We will be at one of those 3 spots. Are you going to battle on regionals?
No, I'll be out of town somewhere.
Be out of town.
This is week 4 of 14 in a row for me of travel. So
we used to be built for this, man.
Yeah, I'm getting worried more so about week 8 or 9 than anything. And then, you know,
when the capital T, capital M, the madness sets in.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Proper noun, the madness.
I was looking over my schedule, and I sent it to my girlfriend, and she looked it over, and then she was just like, all right, so, you know, you're ready for all this? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know, you're only going to be home 9 days in October and 7 days in November. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I went and looked at it, and I just audibly said, oh, no.
Yeah. You made fun of me.
I should have said no to something.
You made fun of me for
of course I did.
Talking about
anything, but please continue.
About talking about, let's do all the shows again. Let's get it back together. And like you're just doing it anyway.
I didn't realize what I did until it was too late. I said yes to everything.
Right. That suggests to me that you have a pretty high tolerance for it, and you should consider.
I'm not sure if I do.
Getting the band back together.
I'm not sure if the band.
We do it all.
The band. I'm not sure if I have a high tolerance for it or not. I'm left at this point to find out, because it's happening. Mm-hmm. That's what I know. It started with GP Vegas, into Dallas, into the MPL weekly show I did last week, into here. This is week 4 of 14. Now, there is a little vacation mixed in there, but it's a lot. I go to Montreal next week, and I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have been to Montreal.
I heard it's great.
I love it.
Yeah?
Love it.
I heard it's great. My boss told me that apparently they have something there called loose meat sandwiches. I thought he was messing with me. That's a real thing.
No.
That's a real thing.
Montreal is great.
And very good bagels, apparently. I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, my standards are pretty high for that.
For, like, good places?
No, for bagels specifically.
Oh, yeah. I know. You're New Jersey / New York roots.
Don't say / New York. Don't say that. I'm sensitive about that. You know,
I know.
Back in the day, whenever there's an article about myself, Craig Krempels, who also in the booth this weekend, any of the Jersey people killing it, John Finkel, we refer to as New York area players. And whenever it was OSIP making a fool of himself, New Jersey Magic players.
Ah, got it.
I grew up with that, so it's a little sensitive.
Understood. A delver of secrets here.
One of the old school players gets DQ'd for cheating, suddenly he's a New Jersey pro.
Yeah, not a New York pro.
John Finkel's winning pro tours, New York area pro.
Yes. So Finkel's from Jersey?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Like every other Magic player worth a damn, he is from New Jersey. Rutgers graduate, just like Osip Levitovich, another Pro Tour champion.
Noted.
So, are there any good ones? Any Magic pros from Syracuse?
Let's say upstate New York.
So I don't know if you count it. Jamie Park.
I count Jamie Park.
Graduated from Syracuse.
I count Jamie Park.
I don't know if he's from upstate New York, but he's a Syracuse grad.
Beats me. There's a Snapcaster mate looking to trade here with Delver of Secrets.
Upstate New York. Ben Lundquist.
Oh, that counts. That counts.
Brian Gottlieb.
That counts. Here's a spell snare on Snapcaster Mage. Peter playing 2 spell snares here this weekend in his main deck. I believe that those people don't know this name. Baby Chamby.
Adam Chambers. Legend. Edward Fear.
Is he upstate New York?
Owned a store up in Rochester.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast Eddie Fear.
Fast Eddie Fear. Ken Kroner.
Yep, that counts.
I mean, all the team sped guys. Chris Picullo, I believe, went to school at Cornell, upstate New York.
He wasn't. Not CMU, right? I think he went to Cornell. Yeah, I think almost.
Cornell.
Yeah, Cornell.
Yeah.
Cornell.
Went to Cornell.
I almost went to school there.
Did not
Decided to boil up instead.
I did
boiler up. Excuse me.
I did not have the grades.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Rutgers is willing to accept you.
I did not. I was accepted to Rutgers.
I know.
Went to Seton Hall.
I know.
A former Pirate.
They were Pirates, right? That's their name? All right. Monastery Mentor has resolved. Or it may resolve. Peter's going to sacrifice a fetch land here. Going to get a
I think
Trop
David
Choir.
Price, also Cornell grad.
Of Sped Red fame.
Yeah.
Is this a daze strategy? This is a hard way to do it. Response.
All right, so there's basically 1 turn window here for Ingram to get this Monastery Mentor off the battlefield or do something extremely powerful, and from there, second daze will do it too.
I figured it was going to be a double daze thing.
I thought there was a chance if, Ingram has a bolt in his hand, maybe he dazes so Sasser can't follow up with a spell that turn, and then you finish off with the bolt.
Ingram cannot get his Delver to transform. Insectile Aberration is a little bit shy. There is a True Name Nemesis. And now it's on Sasser to have one of those copies of Supreme Verdict to clean everything up, and he does. So, both of Ingram's creatures are dead. We head back Peter's way. That was...
Jace the Mind Sculptor was land number 4.
Well, he's going to go with True Name Nemesis instead, will Ingram. Perhaps leaving up a Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blast style effect. Let's see what this is.
Or just assuming that Sasser has more answers to a Planeswalker than to True Name Nemesis.
Also true. There is Monastery Mentor. It's time for a brainstorm on the end of turn. Draw 3, be putting 2 back. Here will Ingram in just a moment.
It's like Red and 6 and Lightning Bolt among the cards.
Yeah, this deck does have the ability to shift into a planeswalking strategy. Ren and 6 and Jace the Mind Sculptor are 2 cards that are now in Ingram's hand that I think he may be leaving there.
Yeah, if he assumes Ren and 6 is going to resolve, he's going to get 1 shuffle here, because he can pick up one of his fetch lands.
You see Ingram's a little unsure of himself with this brainstorm. Pretty crucial moment right now. There's a Lightning Bolt. I think that other card is a Preordain. So Preordain, Jace, Ren and 6, Lightning Bolt. The 4 cards that are floating around. Now we head back over to Ingram, who will draw. He's going to draw the bolts.
So we can open up the turn here with a Lightning Bolt on the Monastery Mentor, sort of just clarify the game state, see what's going on the Sasser side.
Looks like he's going to go to Ren and 6 first. All right. The Planeswalkers going to start things off with 3 loyalty. And now here's Preordain. So it'll be scry 2, and then draw a card. This is the push planeswalkers here in Ren and 6. You don't see 2-mana planeswalkers often in Magic, and when you do, rarely are they good, but this one is both of those things.
Yeah, it plays really well with Wasteland and Fetch lands.
Yes.
For cards that were already powerful and popular.
Peter will get back a polluted Delta. And now he's unsure if he actually wants to do any attacking here with True Name Nemesis or not. Looks like he's going to leave the True Name back to defend the Ren and 6 for right now. It's a Lightning Bolt on his opponent's turn.
Really surprising to see this here from Ingram, as there's a variety, I guess Force of Negation, but that could just be hard cast now.
But that might take his entire turn, maybe the thought process.
But the difference between Sasser having 1 mana up or 4 mana up really opens up the potential responses here.
That's true. Well, there's the first response, which is Celestial Purge. Monastery Mentor is now a 3/3, but no follow-up spell to make it a 4/4. So, Peter gets himself out of maybe a little bit of trouble.
Yep, that could have been a lot worse.
Sasser with the Team Nova headband, trying to figure out if it's time to actually play Rest in Peace. A card that can be good in the matchup, undoubtedly, but it also hurts his deck a little bit too.
Yeah, both Tarmogoyf and Ren and 6 present in Ingram's list, so it's got plenty of reasons to be in the deck here. But Ingram, it's possible he's cut his Tarmogoyfs altogether. He's already gotten his money here from the Ren and 6 earlier. Not clear if it's going to be worth Sasser's whole turn.
Well, it's another Ren and 6 here for Peter Ingram. It looks like that's going to be a Hydroblast. And now True Name Nemesis is happy to attack. And it just makes you wonder, what's that last card for Peter? I have to imagine it's that Jace, but there's no guarantee. Council's Judgment will take care of the True Name Nemesis. Now here's an attack from 2 from the Brian Colville Monastery Mentor Monk token. That's a polluted Delta. This is a Jace the Mind Sculptor. That is a hard way to do it, but not that hard with the Pyroblast.
Yep. Astrolabe fixing all the mana here.
Here's an attack for 1. Ingram's out of resources now. We'll head back over Peter's way. He'll just pass the turn back. Drake will draw. He'll attack for 1 yet again. And in a game like this sort of back and forth draw-go style gameplay, I think heavily favors Drake.
Definitely. This deck just has more individually powerful cards.
There's a Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace is going to exile all the graveyards, meaning a Tarmogoyf is going to be hanging out as an 0-1, while this Monk token will be a 2-2. Looks like it's 11 all as we head back over to Ingram. Ingram will play a Ren and 6. And that card's gotten significantly worse too.
Might be able to finish off the Monk token here.
Drake is going to Force of Will that. Maybe a little surprised to see Force of Will used on Ren and 6 there.
Well, if all Sasser's got going on is this Monk token, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not the most impressive target in this spot with the graveyards no longer accessible, but might be if Sasser's a little glutted on counter spells, or if he feels like he really needs this Monk token to close out the game as soon as possible. Maybe that's the card to go after.
Well, here's what I'll say. If Peter draws True Name Nemesis next turn and plays it and Drake ends up losing to it, strikes me as a poor use of things, and I don't want to be results-oriented, but what I will say is, sure, the Monk token would die, but the rest of the text on Ren and 6 is irrelevant now.
Yeah, like I said, it struck me as a little bit of a extreme given the circumstances.
There's Prismatic Vista. Here's an attack for 2. Peter going to fall down to 9, pass the turn back. We head back over to Peter. He'll untap those lands, draw a card. This is a Delver of Secrets. That'll resolve. We head back over to Drake. Drake has some spells to play. He's actually just got one spell to play. It's a copy of Palace Jailer.
Someone becoming the Monarch.
Yeah, this one's pretty darn nice, folks. That's going to take care of that Delver of Secrets. Drake is going to become the Monarch. And that means he'll get to draw a card here in just a moment, too. Palace Jailer is it's expensive, but it's darn good when it works. Now remember, when Palace Jailer enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the Monarch. So if Peter becomes the Monarch, he'll get his creature back. But if you kill the Palace Jailer, it doesn't mean you get the creature back.
Yeah, it stays in exile. You've actually got to become the Monarch.
Drake going to get himself a snow-covered mountain here off the fetch. And things are looking mighty fine here for number 16 on our Player of the Year leaderboard here in Drake Sasser. Peter's going to take a look at the deck here as he's fetching up a couple of lands.
Do a little bit of thinning.
All the Trops, all the Volcanics look to be out of the deck. A lot has changed about Temur Delver. But one thing that hasn't are the lands that you can find. Now that is Magmatic Sinkhole for 6 mana. Palace Jailer down. But again, the Delver does not come back. Drake remains the Monarch, which means at the end of the turn, whoever the Monarch is, they get to draw a card. So being the Monarch is very powerful. There's an Astrolabe. Draw a card, play a Vista, block. Pass the turn back. Drake gets to draw another card. Peter draws a card. Picked up a copy of, looks like a Pyroblast in hand.
Pyroblast, Wasteland, leftovers.
But you can see Drake's deck. It is Wasteland proof. Are there any non-basics in there? Like any Tundras or anything?
1 Tundra, 1 Volcanic.
Sounds about right. Reminds you of Miracles.
Yeah.
But Miracles, with the banning of Sensei's Divining Top, has gotten significantly worse.
And with this mana that you're seeing here from Sasser's side, and now with Rest in Peace, I think Ingram should really consider cutting Run in 6 in this matchup.
Yeah. Doesn't strike me as very good.
Yeah, I mean, what's the upside? How do you expect it to go well, you know?
Yeah, I think the best that it can do is just getting you a land back. But I'm not excited about that.
Yeah. It's only some of the time you get to do it, too.
Yeah. Spell Snare. Gonna go after Snapcaster Mage. We're going to see a hard cast Force of Will here from Drake. Let's go beatdowns once again. Ingram going to die a slow death. He falls down to 3. Peter quickly draws and passes the turn back.
Looking pretty good here that Sasser picked a fight over that, preserving that monk token.
You might be right, yeah.
Looks like it's about to go the distance.
May have been hard to win.
And also, if you wanted to become the Monarch, too, that could be a factor there, and just keep any creature in play that you can.
Well, I'm going to say this.
Yeah, not a fan of this.
I would not have cast that card.
That's a lot of information for no ups. I guess he's finishing off the game. Yeah, he's just going for lethal. I guess if you're worried about Ingram drawing out on you, that's fine. It's a lot of information to give up, though.
He's so far ahead in this game. I don't like giving away that piece of information.
Well, I don't know how far ahead is he. Like, what happens if Ingram can just draw a True Name Nemesis and win the game? Then maybe you just have to go for it.
Sure. That'll be an attack there for 3. I would rather maybe just go like, I get what you're saying because you can end the game that turn most likely.
Ingram's shown Jace the Mind Sculptor. If that resolves and bounces your token, now
we have a different game.
Right.
We have a different
game.
So
I would prefer to keep that one closer to the chest. I think I would just I mean, if he had 2 more copies of Rest in Peace, I probably would just let there. But no, I think Sasser has some very strong incentives to get the game over with that turn, if he can, even at the expense of revealing back to basics.
Well, these players are going to get ready for game number 3. You see, they've got under 20 minutes. I imagine when the game starts, they'll have about 17. So they don't have a lot of time to play this third one, given the back-and-forth nature of the matchup. But while they do get ready for their third game to see who's going to be 5-0, we want to show you a little bit of a teaser here for the StarCityGames.com Players' Championship.
It's been a while, but I feel like I've seen this movie before. Pass the turn back. Is it a top deck?
Oh
it's
my
a
God,
Pendlehaven. Pump and attack? Is this real?
Oh my God. Oh no.
We'll see you in December for that tournament. Twitch.tv/SCG Tour, of course. 16 players, 1 champion. And can Joe Lissette do the ultimate and go back-to-back?
Sure, a nice little 3-year hiatus. Players' Championship. It's back. Very excited to cover it. Essentially have a new generation of players competing in it, for the most part, plus a member of the old guard.
That's right.
Defending his title, Joe Lissette.
We'll learn a little bit more about old Drake Sasser here, the 24-year-old from Madison, Alabama. In 2018, he played 16 Opens, top 8 at 2 of them, and he won the one in Worcester. All-time 4 Open top 8s, still that just lone win in Worcester last year with Grixis Delver. He loves the Overwatch League and is a huge Houston Outlaws fan. Houston Outlaws.
Is that arena football?
I think that is. I'm going to check that out myself right now. It's certainly not the Houston Texans. That might be an Overwatch team. I don't know, intern Rob. How are the chicken and waffles?
Yeah.
We've been confirmed they were very good. It is an American professional Overwatch esports team.
Never mind.
All right. I thought it was also an arena football team.
Yeah, just assume it was arena football.
Or maybe a defunct AFL team.
XFL.
No, they're back. You know that, right?
I heard about
They're
that.
back. They are fully back, yeah. There's a Arkham's Astrolabe.
I would have dazed that for sure. I would have 100% dazed that.
Teach him a lesson? If he leads off with planes, maybe. May not have any blue mana.
Yeah. These people keep some really sketchy Astrolabe hands.
Well, Renin 6 is still in the deck. It's going to get the land back. Now, is that value enough? Get the land back and then just ping you every turn.
For sure. Yeah. No, this is great. It's just it ignores the downside of when you draw Renin 6 on turn 4 after Rest in Peace has happened.
Sure.
Because you're not doing the wasteland thing. You're only really working with fetch lands against Sasser.
Well, Hydro Blast is going to take care of Renin 6, so destroy target red permanent will work just fine. We head back over to Ingram. Transform complete. Pyroblast the reveal. So Delver of Secrets transforms into Insectile Aberration, a 3/2 flyer on the battlefield now here for Peter. Polluted Delta's the land for the turn. Got that back with Renin 6. He'll now sacrifice it, fall down to 18. He'll go digging for a land.
But Ingram has to be happy with how that Renin 6 went. Got your land, traded it with a quality removal spell. That's great.
Volcanic Island, the weapon of choice here for Peter. Beatdowns now. Sasser's going to fall down to 16, presumably. And he will. Damage confirmed. The follow-up is Tarmogoyf. This looks a lot like game number 1. We're going to head back over to Drake. Drake will draw a card for his third turn of the game. He'll sacrifice Scalding Tarn. He'll play a Ponder. It'll be a snow-covered island that he finds as he falls down to 15. Tarmogoyf's going to tick on up to a 4/5. There's a Planeswalker, an instant, a land, and now a sorcery about to be placed into the graveyard.
Looks like Supreme Verdict among the cards that Sasser's looking at here. Would be surprised at a shuffle, assuming that he can just make his land drops here.
Well, there's a snow-covered mountain. He'll pass the turn back. We'll head back over to Peter now. Peter with Force of Will in hand, among other things. The Delta is the land for the turn. The beatdown for 7 is going to put Sasser down to 8. You mentioned Supreme Verdict. That one's uncounterable, so Force of Will is not going to do anything in that regard. These players are going to make sure life totals are correct. Now, you remember in that first game, as there's a second white. Actually, there is through the Astrolabe. He doesn't need a second white source. He can do it with the artifact. Yes, it's a volcanic island is the land. What I was going to say, it was in the first game. Peter put up that wall of counter magic, and anything that Drake did wouldn't matter. Well, Supreme Verdict is uncounterable, so it certainly did matter.
Yep. And Sasser, with the Astrolabe and all these basics, able to make all his land drops, not worry about the possibility of Wasteland, and still have the requisite fixing to be able to cast some of his more cumbersome spells on time.
Oh, you were the one that kind of wanted to get a little bit aggro with that Daze. Daze is actually going to be used now as the blue card to be removed with Force of Will.
Listen, I'm not saying that dazing the Astrolabe is just the right thing to do and you should do it as much as you possibly can, but I'm not saying that.
Is it like countering the top?
Yeah. Yes. Well, countering the top is also a quality of life thing too. Got to get the game over with.
Yeah, that matters a lot. There's a Brainstorm. So Drake's going to draw 3 cards. We'll be putting 2 back here in just a moment, and a fetch land would make it a beautiful turn here for Drake as we're working ourselves into the late game now, which is where Drake is at home with this Jeskai Mentor deck. No fetch land, just going to be a snow-covered Plains. And Drake will now play a Rest in Peace, eliminate the graveyard. So it's piece by piece here from Sasser as Ingram will draw and pass the turn back. He does have Jace the Mind Sculptor in hand, but he's going to go with a Brainstorm right now.
Well, I think that for Ingram's perspective, 1, too likely that the Jace can get countered by something soft. 2, if he taps out for Jace and Sasser has back to basics, it's all over. So he's got to wait a little bit until he has at least some backup before going for Jace.
Of course, back to basics is that Urza's Saga enchantment that says non-basic lands do not untap during their opponent's untap step. So back to basics could be really good right now if it does show up. This is the Supreme Verdict to take care of True Name Nemesis. So a little 1-for-1 trade there between the two players. We head back over to Ingram again. This is a Ponder.
Ingram also has 2 copies of Lightning Bolt in hand, so he's approaching a spot where he can just have lethal. So he kind of wants to play a waiting game here. He's got a lot of draws to just finish out the game. If he connects with a creature, this Delver transforms, that might be enough to get the game over with, and he's got to be really concerned with back to basics.
Swords of Plowshares is going to try to take care of the Delver of Secrets. That will work as Sasser played a Flooded Strand for the turn. Sasser doesn't have a ton of cards left in hand, but these players are playing a much different game right now as Fiery Islet will be the land. You mentioned the 2 Lightning Bolts. That puts Drake at a hypothetical 2. Now Jace is in. And Jace is going to Brainstorm. It's good news here for Peter.
And Peter finding that Daze earlier means that even if Sasser resolves back to basics, he can pick up one of his Volcanics and maybe still be able to win the game with the Lightning Bolt.
There's an Arkham's Astrolabe. Sasser will draw. He'll play another fetch. This will be a Council's Judgment going after the Jace the Mind Sculptor. And that will take care of the Jace. We head back over to Peter, who has found another Lightning Bolt. Well, we already knew about this Lightning Bolt. I take that back because he put it back with Jace. Here is True Name Nemesis. That has protection from Drake. Here's a ponder. Pyroblast looks like it's going to take care of that. There's your attack. Sasser's going to fall down to 5. And Peter showing some discipline here. He's got no reason to move with those lightning bolts. He can have True Name Nemesis get the game over with if it comes to that.
And now the flood strands have been cut off.
That does it. Peter Ingram going to win this game and match here over Drake Sasser. Teamer Delver is going to move on to 5-0. It's Jeskai Mentor is going to fall down to 4-1. A well-played game there by Peter Ingram, but not much of a surprise.
Well, I think he showed a lot of discipline there in that spot where he could have just tapped out for Jace and tried to get that engine going. But I think with 2 lightning bolts in hand and your opponent at 8, your position is both strong and largely concealed. You can play a defensive game. In the event that Sasser draws a Monastery Mentor, you can probably answer it.
Yep.
If you draw any creature, you're a hit away from lethal, and that's not public information to Drake, so he might not play assuming that there's a real crisis going on. And you always have the opportunity to resolve the Jace the following turn if Drake should commit a lot of mana on his own turn, making it less likely that he'll be able to counter.
Sure.
So I think there was a sort of multi-layered decision-making there for Ingram to be patient and not just tap out for Jace, and he was able